Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to my first podcast, clearly, my very first podcast. My name is Dr. Leah Jo Brown. Well, I guess that's kind of my name now. It used to be different, but then I got married, adopted the patriarchal name changing thing, and I changed my last name to Brown, which is far from my favorite color. But anyway, my name is Dr. Leah Brown, and this is my first podcast. It's called Can We Talk About Art? And I'm going to say it 5 ways. You know that trend on Insta where they like say did you fart 5 different ways? So I'm going to say it 5 different ways. We'll see if you can guess which emotion I'm expressing, okay? Can we talk about art? Can we talk about art? Can we talk about art? Can we please talk about art? Can we talk about art? Alright, that was fun. If you haven't muted me by now, then welcome to episode 1. This one is called The Women. I've got a stool that makes fart noises when I move. An unfinished painted ceiling behind me, a necklace I made yesterday, the hair and makeup that I don't know how to style, teeth that aren't super white, a body that's had babies, a microphone that is oddly phallic shaped. Oh, and have you seen the uncircumcised version? I can't. Okay. So welcome to my wildly unprofessional first podcast. I'm starting this podcast because I am now a trad wife. Did not see that coming. Who used to teach art. And I'm incredibly bored by small talk. Like, can't do it. Not even with people I love and adore. I hate it. So, my favorite thing in the world is to talk about art. You know that how Taylor Swift said, talking about songwriting is greater than talking about anything else? Well, for me, talking about art is greater than anything else. I'd rather talk about art than anything else. I feel like, honestly, it's the key to world peace. Because no matter who the person is that you're talking about, no matter what the situation is, like let's say it's a presidential inauguration, okay? And the person who got elected is not the person that you voted for. But the spouse of the person who actually did get elected is looking wow, like, I don't know how to say it, looking bam, looking fine, looking hot, I don't know the lingo, but like, they look beautiful or handsome and their style is so cool and they're sitting up there on the podium at inauguration and you're like, oh my gosh, I love that outfit, I love like, it's fabulous, it's so cool. And the poet who's speaking at inauguration is amazing, the music is so cool. The presidential library they're making is so cool. The art and architecture in it, the books are like phenomenal, whatever. I feel like no matter who the person is, you can find something nice to say about them when it relates to art. Like, you know, in the South, when your mom tells you, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Which usually is like, you ain't got nothing nice to say, you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. I'm going to say it one more time for emphasis. You ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. Okay? This applies to the internet and real life. And sometimes it's hard. But for me, if I think about art, then I automatically can find something cool to say. So, that is what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about art. I have a bunch of fun stuff for us to do. And while we do it, because I'm weird and awkward and don't know how to talk to people, and I'm talking to you right now in an empty house because I sent my family away because I'm even too shy to talk about this in front of like my loved ones, whatever. Woohoo! if you haven't muted me by now, I'm opening up a canvas. I'm gonna paint while we talk. I hope you can hear me okay and the noise isn't terrible. This is my first podcast, in case you didn't know, so please be kind. If you have nothing nice to say about me right now, you can mute me, or you could talk about art. You could look at the cool things behind me. So I painted this room and all these paintings. That's an original. This one is I looked at it Renoir and did my own version, or like I tried to copy it. Renoir. This is Odilon Redon, and then on the far side you can't see a Van Gogh, which I love. But so today I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to attempt to copy this lovely portrait while I'm talking to you on this podcast called Can We Talk About Art? Because everything's more fun while I'm doing art. And you can't tell right now, but my feet are sweating so bad from anxiety that my Hoka house shoes are like slipping off my foot and it feels disgusting. So if I start painting, maybe I'll be a little bit less nervous about looking and sounding like an absolute moron. So I am a member of the Wichita Art Museum in Wichita, Kansas. I've never been there, but I'm a member. So I get this cool thing in the mail every once in a while from them. And yesterday this came to my house, and it's got this beautiful painting with a fabulous name. Do you know what the name of this painting is? This is not a joke. Blanchette Fairy Hooker. My eyes saw Fairy Hooker, and I was like, I definitely need to talk about the Fairy Hooker with my phallic microphone. But then I was like, no, that's just her middle name, and Hooker is her last name. Her name is Blanchette. This is an 11-year-old girl. She's not a hooker. That's just her name. So immediately I was like, oh, sorry. This painting is a beautiful portrait by an artist named Mary Young Hunter, and she painted it of this beautiful 11-year-old girl named Blanchette. And Blanchette actually was the daughter of American chemical magnate Elon Huntington Hooker. And later, this girl grew up and married a Rockefeller, okay, and became an art collector diva of her own. So I'm not calling you a hooker, Miss Blanchette. You are beautiful. And I apologize for laughing at your name the first time I saw it. I love this painting. The more I look at it, I am more and more fascinated by it. I usually, I don't know, like this kind of portrait doesn't speak to me very much. I usually paint flowers, hence the flowers. But for some reason, something about her spoke to me. And so I am going to attempt to paint this in the next 30 minutes while talking to you about other stuff. We'll see how that goes. I don't know. But I'm putting it right here. I'm balancing it on the zinnias and hope it doesn't fall. Oh, amateur podcaster here. Forgive me, please. All right. We'll put it right there. Okay. So I'm going to pour out the paint. I'm using 5 colors only. Red and yellow. Blue. Black. And white, with 2 paintbrushes, a piece of canvas, and a palette. That is all you need to make any colors in the whole stinking world. So we're gonna get started here. I'm putting some white paint in the middle, big glob of it. Incidentally, this is leftover paint from when I was an art teacher 5 years ago that I took home with me when the school year ended. And so please don't tell my former principal. And also it's probably expired and it's almost gone. And it makes interesting sounds. Did you just toot in my eye? Did you toot in my eye? No, but the paint did. All right, we've got one more color, a little bit more yellow. We're gonna do some blue. Whoops. Are you getting dizzy? Because you're moving around. You are precariously balanced on a vase of flowers and a wooden alphabet puzzle that belongs to my 3-year-old. I'm on a stool with sweaty feet, pretending that I know what I'm doing. So, all right, diving in. We're in portrait mode. So, reminder, I'm going to try to paint this on this. Ooh, I don't know what it's going to look like. But here we go. Okay, so while we do this, I'm going to kind of explain to you what we're doing here and tell you a little bit about my background. So, first off, if you hear me talking right now and you're super annoyed by my voice, and you're like one person who left a comment on my last video, they were like, why is she talking baby talk? There's a very good reason for that. And it's because I actually have a medical condition called an infantile larynx. Yeah, guess how I found that out? I was a teacher in Dallas at a very low income elementary school, and I was trying to move up. So I was getting my master's, about to start my doctorate in education. I was a classroom teacher. I would come home absolutely exhausted with sore throats every day after school, and struggled with classroom management, which when you're a young or like a new teacher, a lot of what I did was try to rely on my voice to control the classroom, which is totally different than what actual classroom management is. But I was new. I didn't know any better. So I was doing the best I could. I was trying to talk loud enough and authoritatively enough to not only command control of a classroom full of children from 3-year-olds up through 4th graders, but also to come off sounding like a competent adult and not talking in a baby voice, which I hope you're hearing right now. So, because it would suck to have to re-record all of this later if you're not hearing what I'm saying. So, anyway, all right, here's my background. So anyway, I was a teacher. I couldn't talk loud enough. I thought, hey, I need to go to a professional voice coach and figure out how to project more professionally. I've got to figure this out if I want to advance my career and also save my sanity, save my voice. And so I went to this world-renowned voice coach in Dallas. She was fabulous. Had all these pictures of celebrities on her walls, and she was covered by my school insurance, so it was a win-win. So I took my first day off school and went to this voice coach, and I went to her a couple times, and we were running through all the exercises and tests, and she was checking my voice and making me sing and speak and do all the things. And she was perplexed because she's like, you're hitting all the right notes, your tone and pitch are spot on. I don't understand what's happening here, why you can't project any louder. And so she took me to an ENT. We made an appointment, and she actually came with me to the appointment, which was really cool. And he was a very well-known ENT, actually. He had helped a bunch of musicians, and anyway, again, covered by my insurance. So anyway, we went in. They did some gel numbing spray, something in my throat. He looked down my throat, which was an experience when there's a head going down your throat. He he looked in my throat and came back up, put his flashlights and sticks away, and he was like, here's a brochure for a microphone because you will never be able to project your voice. End of story. No matter what we do, you will not be able to speak any louder than you currently can. You literally do not have the equipment because you have an infantile larynx, which means it never fully developed into an adult larynx. So technically, yes, I do have a baby voice, I guess, because it never never grew up. So the poor Boy Scout lady, she walked me out and she was like, I'm so sorry. Like, you can, please feel free to keep coming back to me. You can, we can still work together and figure out what to do with this. But the ENT was like, even surgery will not fix this. You don't have the equipment. So get some microphones, save your voice, don't strain it. You can't make it do something that it can't do. So I have an infantile larynx. I sound like this. You can imagine how much authority this helps me project in a professional setting. Super fun times. However, children seem to like it. So, anyway, I'm telling you that because if you are expecting my voice quality to change over the course of the next few podcasts, you will be sorely mistaken. So if you hate my voice, which sometimes I hate my voice, you please feel free to delete me, mute me, unsubscribe me, talk badly about me on the internet. But this voice is going to stay the same till I die. So welcome. I have an infantile larynx. What's next? This painting is here's where we are. You want to see? Voila! The blocking is going all right. So my background, and the only reason why I feel even like remotely qualified to speak to you today about art, not that you have to have qualifications. I think art is for everyone, but I actually do have an art background. So you can kind of maybe like trust that I have a well-informed opinion or education about some of the things we're going to talk about today. So I do have a doctorate in education. I earned my doctorate in curriculum and instruction for elementary education. It's an educational doctorate with a dissertation, which means I wrote a dissertation and published it, and it's got 800 downloads and counting to this day. So, not the best, not the worst, but I do have a doctorate. My dissertation was written about using music as an educational tool in the elementary school classroom. And fun fact, I wrote it during COVID, which, as you can imagine, made in-classroom research super fun to arrange. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're not talking about COVID. We're not at all. We're talking about cool stuff. We're talking about art. The whole scenario of how can we talk about art got started was when I was an elementary school art teacher in Dallas. So it was maybe a year after I'd gone to see the voice coach, and I had been moved by my wonderful principal who saw talent and skill in me. She moved me from kindergarten teaching to the art teacher on campus. So I taught art for the whole school, from the 3-year-olds in pre-K 3 all the way up to the 4th graders. And I had all of those grades every day, back to back. So I would clean up from the 3-year-olds, and then like 3rd graders would be lining up outside the door ready to come. 3-year-olds out, 3rd graders in, and we would do that all day long until I saw all the grades every day. I saw the entire school in a week plus another quarter. So I would see a quarter of the school on Monday, another quarter on Tuesday, another Wednesday, another on Friday, and on Thursday. So like Monday through Thursday, I saw the whole school, and then I would have the Monday classes again on Friday. So a quarter of the school would see me twice a week. And we called that specials. If you're not a teacher, then you don't need to know this. But if you are a teacher or you do have a background in schools, you know that specials teachers are different. And it's kind of very hard to fit in with the regular teachers in the school, and you also have the entire school in your class. So classroom management, especially with a soft voice, becomes something very specifically difficult very quickly. And also, I didn't want to just have like a throwaway class. I wanted to have a class that made an impact. I wanted those kids to love art. I wanted it to be a lifelong passion that they would have, that they could love and appreciate art. This was a very low income school, and so most of them did not know anything about art. Most of them didn't even have breakfast or cars or toilet paper. So it was very, very important to me to help them discover the beauty that art can bring to the world, because I believe that art is a curious thing. It's really tricky defining art. I was listening to Carol Claire Burke talk about this the other day, and defining art is definitively difficult, and also the easiest thing in the world, because to me, art is something that is created by humans, and it is primarily visual and auditory in nature for me. I realize there's a lot of other forms of art, like fashion kind of verges towards like the tactile. Food is art sometimes, so that can be like taste and smell. But for me, art is something that I see and sometimes hear that was made by a human that makes my soul stop for a minute and sort of inhale and feel connected in a broader sense to other humans and other emotions in the universe that are reflecting something that I have felt or seen or heard or tasted or longed for or had my heart broken by. So for me, art is very visual. And I had a teacher when I was in photography school. I went to photography school in Massachusetts, and it was an incredible experience. I went to the Hallmark Institute of Photography, which is now defunct because the president was stealing, allegedly embezzling millions of dollars, at least so I heard. I don't know specifically. Don't take me up. No, that's probably just a rumor. I don't know that for a fact. In fact, I retract that statement. I don't know. But this is what I've heard. So anyway, that school probably doesn't exist if you Google it right now, because some things went down after I left. But when I went there, it was a very reputable, intense school. In fact, one of my classmates, we were in the same homeroom teacher at the beginning, was Marcus Smith, who is now the sports photographer. Marcus, you're amazing, man. He shoots for Nike, the World Cup, you've seen his work in airports, on billboards. Marcus, so proud of you. And I'm totally name dropping you right now because we took pictures of each other. We learned photography, and I feel honored that I learned in the same place as you. But anyway, we had a professor there named Michael Zide, and Michael Zide lives in, I don't know, do you live in Nantucket or Martha's Vineyard? I'm pretty sure it's Martha's Vineyard, and takes gorgeous black and white pictures of it. And he always started class by saying, is this art? Is this art? Is this art? But is this art? Is this art? And he said it much better than that. But the basic premise was what is art even? Is it art because you say it's art? Is it art because someone else says it's art? Is it art because it's expensive? Is it art because it has 4 colors in it? Is it art because it has no colors in it? Like black and white photography. Is it art because it was made by a famous person? Is it art because it was made by AI? Is it art if nobody likes it, buys it, or even sees it? Is it art if your name is Van Gogh and nobody buys it. I don't know. What is art to you? To me, art can be fashion, it can be books, it can be movies, it's music and paintings. I gotta be honest with you, some art doesn't make sense to me, some art doesn't matter to me, but you know what? If you're looking at art, it comes back to that same thing. If you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. Like, you can walk through a museum, you can listen to an album. If you don't like one of the paintings or one of the songs, just go to the next one. Like, not all of them are made for you. None of them, in fact, are made for you. If you don't like it, that's fine. Just move on to one you do like. And let's talk about that one. Because if you don't like it, it doesn't matter to you. Why bash it? Like, honestly, why bash it? Online, offline, in person, whatever. If you don't like it, just move on. That's fine. I don't like all art. Some art, honestly, I'm like, what? And then I'm like, oh, this doesn't impact me right now. This doesn't make my soul feel songs. So I'm just going to turn the page. I'm going to walk to the next one. I'm going to find something that echoes in my soul memories and emotions and makes me connect to something larger than myself and makes me remember things and stop in my tracks and be like, wow. That's what art is to me. And I want to talk about that. I want to talk about art that we like. I don't want to talk about art or people or politics or things that we hate. There's enough of that, and I don't like that at all. So yes, there's weird art. There's art that I actually hate, but I would never tell you that, especially if you're the artist. I'm just going to find another one that I do like and say something nice to you about that one. And honestly, I think we could find world peace if we all did that. Can we all say amen or not amen? Because that's a little bit too. Can we all say woohoo? And can we all just please say, can we talk about art? Because when I was an elementary school art teacher, the way that I was able to engage all my students and get them engaged with art even outside the art classroom, like throughout the week in their other classes. Because some people think of art as a throwaway class in elementary school. It's like the week one of the specials, and you're like, okay, whatever. But I made myself matter. I made art matter. And those kids loved art so much. I started this campaign called Can We Talk About Art? And throughout the school, I would hang up pieces of art throughout, like wherever they would stop, like outside the gym, in the cafeteria. I would get free pictures from the National Gallery of Art of famous paintings, and I would put them up, and I would give the kids rewards if they said, "Can we talk about art?" or talked about that painting with their teacher or the other students in their class. And it was the coolest thing. Like, it was kind of a hard sell at first because teachers are busy, man. They don't have much time for extra stuff. But where I put them in the hallway was like places where you're killing time anyway. Like, you're 1 minute early for specials, the last class is late, you have to wait anyway. And so I was giving the students something to talk about, like an educational learning opportunity, a conversational opportunity, an opportunity to think about critical thinking and connect all these pieces. Like, I would put some scientific pieces if they were doing a specific science unit. I would put things that connected to what they were reading in English. And it was so cool, the conversations that came about, because I was helping the kiddos learn how to talk about something they'd never talked about before. And at first you put them up and the teachers are like, I don't know how to talk about art. What do we do? And so I would give them basic, like, sentence starters. Like, there's this thing called Artful Thinking by, I just paused because this painting is turning out super crazy, man. But there's this program called Artful Thinking. It was created by Project Zero at Harvard University. You know what? Like, it's hard, but it's called Artful Thinking. And it's basically, it's a palette of critical thinking sentence starters. So you have like six different colors on the palette, and you choose one, and it's like a discourse that's started for you. And so there are things like compare. You're comparing a few pieces of art. There are things like you're looking at the colors, the shapes, the lines. Like, hey, what colors do you see in this painting? That's a simple, like, even a 3-year-old can be like, hey, what colors do you see? And they'll all probably come up with different colors, or maybe they can only say one color, but automatically they're engaged in the art, and it gives you a place to start. And even just the question, can we talk about art, is fabulous. And by the end, I was even getting burned out of like how many times kiddos would come up to me and say, Miss Job, can we talk about art? And I was like, yes. And also, actually, I never thought I'd say this, but I'm kind of tired of talking about art. But right now, I feel so fond and nostalgic for those days. I'm a stay-at-home mom now with a 2 and 3-year-old. And my 3-year-old has apraxia of speech, which means that he really can't talk. But he adores art, man. Like, he is such a little artist and adores it. And also, I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I have nobody to talk to. And so here we are. I want to talk about art with you because Ewing Elementary, I miss every single one of you little cuties who used to annoy the crap out of me by saying, can we talk about art 72 times every minute? And I miss you so much, and I hope that you're still talking about art, and I hope that you still have a fondness for me, because I remember you guys and love all of you. So anyway, I have a doctorate in education. I was an art teacher. That's where Can We Talk About Art came from. And the Is This Art question came from Michael Zide at my professional photography certificate program, which is kind of like a master's degree, but they weren't certified, so it was a fake master's. But anyway, and now we're going to move on to the next piece of art, which for me includes books. And if you ask me, is this art? I will 100%, 1000% say, yes, this is art. This is art. Art. Books are art. Literature is art. And these two pieces of art, as a woman, mean more to me, with the exception of one book, than any other books I've ever read. So these two books, Margot's Got Money Troubles and Yesteryear. Fabulous, amazing pieces of art. Love, love, love. They're both, Margot's Got Money Troubles has already been made into a show. It's on Apple TV. I have not watched it yet, specifically because the writing in Rufi Thorpe's book version was so fantastic that I don't even know how the show could possibly live up to it. So I'm nervous to watch it, but I will eventually, because the book was so fantastic, and it delves into so many issues about sex work and men and women and motherhood and family and shame and matriarchy and entertainment and church and so good. And then I read, after I finished Margot's Got Money Troubles, I read this book, Yesteryear. You've probably all heard about this book. I'm speechless. I'm not speechless. I am floored. I am astounded because Carol Claire Burke has written this incredible piece of art that, like any epic piece of art, means different things to different people. Some people are super mad about it. Some people love it. And I feel like any great piece of art does that. Taylor Swift does that. I love you, Taylor. I love you, Carol. it's polarizing in its brilliance. I really think that's what makes certain pieces of art so magnetic, is that they elicit a strong emotion or reaction in the person who views them, hears them, reads them. I think that's what art is to me, and it can be a positive or a negative. For me, this book brought up so many emotions because I actually am a trad wife right now. I'm a trad wife with a doctorate, and it's confusing because I grew up wanting to be a trad wife, like wanting to be a good Christian girl, going to a Bible church. Wow, now that I'm here talking about this, I'm afraid to say it out loud because when you say things like this, you open yourself up for attack. And but I think that's what great art does. And I have so many pages flagged in both of these books that just made me see myself from all different angles, and made me think about my life and my decisions and the decisions and lives of people around me who've come before me, who will come after me. And I think it's such a beautiful thing to reflect like that. And gosh, I'm not going to spoil this for you, but I will say that I totally didn't pay attention to Amelia the first time I read it. And now, looking back, I'm like, did Doug actually send her to the farm because he wanted to kill her? Like, that was a very effective way for her to die and him not go to jail for it. That's all. Okay, so next piece of art that I want to talk about with you today. Next piece of art are two shows. There are these two shows that I'm obsessed with. And I feel like I'm on this track with these two books, Yesteryear and Margot's Got Money Troubles, and these two shows, All Her Fault and America's Sweethearts, DCC. All four of those are sort of this epoch of womanhood that is rising up and effervescently changing the patriarchy. And I feel like we're on this rising swell of women taking back their voices and their lives and their bodies and their religion and their futures and their names. And it makes so much sense to me after reading this book called The Dance of the Dissident Daughter, which was changed my life because it allowed me to see a lot of the things that are mentioned in Yesteryear about the hardcore man shame that happens in a lot of the versions of the Bible that I was taught growing up, and the mental load that moms carry that I had no idea was coming for me. I've never seen a more satisfying depiction of the mental load of motherhood than I have in the screen version of All Her Fault. I will say I've not read the book version of All Her Fault, but I did see the Peacock series All Her Fault, and it is the best example of the mental load carried by moms in America that I have ever seen expressed in any form. I almost didn't watch it because the plot of the show and the book is that this mom's son gets kidnapped. And I have 2 young sons, and so immediately I was like, nope, too close, too soon, can't do it, and then I ran out of other things to watch, and so I tried it again and turned it on and quickly got hooked. This show is bonkers, y'all. It is drama. It is chaos and deception and action and undercurrent and wow. Okay, Dakota Fanning, when she finally stands up for herself, I was in the back like, woo, woo, get him. Not really, but I was, because like I identified with her so much, and she finally like talked back to the person who's belittling her, and I was like, you go girl, and in a much cooler way than that. But anyway, all her fault on Peacock. I think about the murder scene at the end with the EpiPen almost every day, especially when my husband has done something to royally piss me off or make me feel like a maid. Well, I guess my children do that too, but the anger comes out at my husband because, he's a grown man. You can't be mad at your children for, anyway, whatever. Sometimes I think about the EpiPen scene with a glistening smirk in my eye. Not that I would ever do it, but I'm like, this is a real mental load issue that is happening, and the way that the characters took back their autonomy in such I don't want to spoil it for you if you haven't seen it, but also I've never felt so proud of someone murdering someone else. This is a really weird conversation. If you're hearing this snippet right now, I'm going to sound like a psycho. But when you see the part with the EpiPen, it actually makes so much sense from the perspective of the mental load that women are carrying, that men have no idea of how lucky they are. Like, if you've ever made your husband a dentist appointment or anything like that, it's like a thing. They just go, like, it's like Caleb at first in the yesteryear, and then at a certain point you're like, well, anyway, I don't even know where I'm going with this, except to say I think about the EpiPen every day. And no, I'm not going to murder my husband. Just make that clear right now. This got weird real fast. But anyway, it was such a... I'm going to stop talking. It was so cool to see that manifested on screen. Also, the person who got murdered was a really, really bad person. So you feel like a little victorious when that happens, which I think is such great art, when you can turn something... Anyway, whatever. The next show that is also art to me that I thought was fantastic, on a much lighter note, well, kind of lighter, is America's Sweethearts, Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders. Y'all, have you seen this show? I used to live in Dallas, and I still live in Texas, and so this show is phenomenal to me. It is epic, and I think the editing of it is stellar. There's so much like side eye smart energy happening in the editing of this show. I can't even tell you. It's like it takes things like body shaming and pay equity and turns it on its head. And in the last episode of season 3, there's this character named Thea, who is sort of a sideline attendee of the football games, and she makes all these TikToks of the cheerleaders and posts them. And the way they took her words, it was like her testimony or something. The way they brought that out of her and cut it, the editing of that, and her opinion, it was so beautiful and thoughtful, and like made me cry more than Reese leaving. Honestly, it was an unexpected joy to hear from Thea. When we first got to her house, I was like, oh boy. But that show is so clever, And I feel like there's so much tongue-in-cheek judgment happening without judging. Like, it leaves it open. There are lots of silences that allow you to form your own opinion, and perhaps that is guided a little bit, but I love it so much. I love all the people on it, and I love how the editing makes the characters more three-dimensional. I feel like the editing of that show is artful, 100%. All right, so we've talked about books, we've talked about shows, we've talked about a ton of stuff, and next I want to take you through an episode of Artful Thinking, which is what I would do with my kiddos. And but first, for comic effect, I want to show you my portrait. So I've been painting this by Mary Young Hunter, this fabulous painting. Here's my 45-minute version. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say nothing at all. You can laugh. I think I'll stick to the flowers next time, guys. But it got my nerves soothed down. So that was fun. All right, let's move into our next segment, which is going to be, I'm going to take you through a round of artful thinking, which is the coolest thing I ever did with my art classes. Besides, can we talk about art? And I'm going to show you on the screen these three, I picked 5 amazing paintings from the National Museum of Women in the Arts, which is in DC. And this is the first museum in the world dedicated solely to championing women through arts. I have never been there. I would love to go. Just full disclosure, I have never been to this museum, but it looks cool, and I think I discovered through this that it is the first museum in the world dedicated solely to women artists. And I think that's an emerging trend. There are all these women artists coming in all different kinds of avenues, like music and art, literature, all these avenues where women are really finding their voice. And more than that, their voices are starting to be celebrated and not considered secondary to the men's movements, which is really cool. Okay, but in artful thinking, sometimes you use different techniques to explore different perspectives on the art. And I will say, these 5 paintings that I've chosen, I have never seen in person. Sometimes I'm really disappointed when I think I'm gonna like something and then I see it in person or read it in person or hear it and I don't actually like it, and I'm a little bit disappointed, and that's okay. There are other pieces of art where I don't like them online at all, and then I go see them in person and they can stop me in my tracks, because whatever emotion that is being relayed in that moment, in that space and time, through that space and the light and the sounds and the visuals, for some reason can impact me in a distinct way that is new and different almost every time. And I'm constantly shocked when I go to a museum. Like, the things I think I'm gonna like are not ever my favorites. It's always something that I stumble upon when I go around a corner. Like at the DMA, I went around a corner and I saw this painting called Nature or Abundance, and it absolutely made me stop walking and say, wow, because it struck me and my heart and my soul, and made me feel part of a universal, specific, piercing emotion and memory and angst that I didn't know was coming. And so, anyway, I have not seen these 5 paintings in person. I would hope that I will love them in person, but I don't live in DC, and so I'm presenting them to you online. I love the way they look online. So here they are. The first 3 are really cool to me because it's 3 different paintings of 3 different women done at 3 different times in 3 completely different styles, and yet the pose of the woman in each painting is the same. It's sort of a very stereotypical portrait pose. We learned this in photography school. You learn this in painting school. All the authors on the book jacket covers had this, like, it's a very predictable pose, right? But the way these three artists have expressed that is vastly different. And I love all three for different reasons. So we're going to look at this first one. It's called Me. It's a self-portrait painted by Eula B. Dix in 1899. And we're going to use a technique called Step Inside from the Artful Thinking palette. So I want you to kind of step inside to this woman's self-portrait. And I want you to imagine what she's thinking and feeling and what she's trying to express, because this is her self-portrait. So I'm going to pause here and just let you look at this painting and try to step inside her heart. And now I'm going to move on to the next painting, because you know, like when you make a birthday wish, you're not supposed to say it out loud because it won't come true. Sometimes when I really love a piece of art, I don't want to say out loud what I love about it, because it feels less than the actual thing I love about it. Like, my expression of the thing that the painting was showing me is not as good as what the way the painting was doing it. And so it takes away from it for me. And so I'm not going to tell you what I thought about when I stepped inside her eyes, because I want to honor the thoughts that you had and the expression that it elicited in you. So we're going to honor ourselves, and I'm not going to say mine out loud for these few. Now, this next one is a self-portrait by Alice Bailey. Again, a self-portrait from 1917. If you'll notice, the styles are vastly different. This one, we're going to do an artful thinking technique called Color, Shapes, and Lines, which, zoomed in, this one's so easy. You can do it with the 3-year-olds. What colors do you see? What shapes do you see? And now look at all the lines that you see. Where are they going? How did they get there? How were they painted, and what do they mean? This next painting is by Hung Liu. Sorry for the difficulty pronouncing your name. It's a 2014 painting called Winter with Cynical Fish. And I skipped over this one the first time I was scrolling through their website, but I came back to it several times. There's this quiet beauty about it that I just love. The colors are so mellow and the subject matter is so interesting. So we're going to do looking 10 times 2, which is an artful thinking technique where you simply look at a painting for 10 seconds and then you do it again. So we're going to do that right now. We're going to zoom in. I want you to pause for 10 seconds and just look at this painting. I notice different things every time. And then we're going to do it once more. And this time I want you to look for things that didn't strike you the first time. Look again for 10 seconds. For me, I'm obsessed with this circle. The empty circle and the bird and the fish are both looking at something. And I want to know what it is. The branches, what do the branches mean? The brush strokes, the blues, the purples, the washed out color on her face, and yet the flowers. I am deeply in love with this painting. Alright, so there's 2 more from this museum's collection that I love. We're going to do comparing and connecting on these 2 paintings. They're called The Manger by Gertrude Caspier and Breakfast of the Birds by Gabriel Munter. And that is probably not how you pronounce both of their names, but I'm sorry, I don't speak German, or I'm not great at names. I mispronounce things all the time, and I think a lot of people get this embarrassment of like the culture of museums, and you have to go in and you have to know how to pronounce all the names. You have to know about symbolism and like what art movement it's from. You have to know when the art was made and how it relates to all these other things. But you know what? I don't think so. I think great art can stand alone. I loved both of these before I even knew what format of art it was, before I knew the artist's name. And I think that the artists, I think they would be proud of the fact that these pictures and paintings stopped me from scrolling and made me feel something. And I think that at the end of the day, that's all an artist can ask for. But let's take a look at these close-ups. This one is actually a photograph from 1899, which is very impressive. They didn't have phones back then, you know. They barely even had cameras. And this is a photograph of, I think, the artist's friend. And she's not holding an actual baby. She's holding like a roll of cloth, okay? And I just think let's go back to the original for a minute. Look at the shadows and lights in this photograph from 127 years ago. Look how gorgeous that is. It's like the light is incredible. It feels spiritual to me. And even after my spiritual awakening, there's something touching about it. And I absolutely adore it. The next one is a painting. And I think about these two women, and I want to compare and connect with both of them. I feel like as a mom, I'm kind of closer to this phase right now. My kids are 2 and 3. And yet this one feels closer. Like looking at them out the window, sitting at a table by yourself. Maybe you're an empty nester. I don't know. It feels powerful to me that she's sitting alone looking out a window at the snow. And so both of them have these windows, and the women inside the windows, and all these lights and shadows and dreams and hopes. And I really found these two pieces to be very powerful. One is a photograph and one is a painting. All right, so let's wrap this up. We're going to play a game. This is a little lighter segment. It's called Toddler or Famous Artist. And here we're going to consider 3 paintings, and I want you to try to guess which one was created by an actual toddler and which were created by famous artists who now have their paintings in museums. So I'm going to give you a second, see if you can figure out which is a toddler and which are 2 famous paintings from museums. Did you guess it? Okay, so the one on the far right of your screen, the one on the far right above the word artist, was created by my 3-year-old toddler, Boston. The other 2 are famous art pieces created by Ethel and Mary. So it's like incredible to me. Some pieces of art look so juvenile, honestly, until you look closer, until you study them. And I don't think it matters if it was created by a 3-year-old or an 83-year-old, to be honest. I think sometimes, even with a lack of skill, you can create an amazing piece of art that can elicit feelings of joy or sadness in another human and connect with their soul. And I think that's what art is all about. So, this has been Can We Talk About Art? I hope you've had fun. I hope you've enjoyed this break into the artscape. And I hope with all my heart that you will stop in your daily life, in your conversations with loved ones this week, or even with strangers, and ask if you can talk about art with them. I think it's the real way to world peace. If we talk about art with each other, if we connect to each other as humans using this visual or auditory medium to connect us, I think we'll all be so much better off. All right, I've enjoyed it. I'm Dr. Leah with Can We Talk About Art, and I'll see you next time.